Generally, your housing costs, your monthly housing costs should not make up more than 28% of your net income. A lot of us have more debt than we do have assets.
Man, I'm living aspiration, cutting off heads, I'm straight with decapitation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm not gonna hold y'all too long. I just felt inspired to, do another financial, give some more financial advice real quick to start the morning off. So good morning. And what I wanted to talk about today was just making sure that I highlight the importance of being able to live within your means. And living within our means is different for everybody, but the importance is to make sure that we're not overly spending and that we're still good enough to live our lives, our personal lives, whether that's, being able to spend money on things that we love to do, that we want to do, spending money on things that we need, and also having enough money to save and invest. So, there's a couple general percentages and ratios that most of us should follow. Like everybody's situation is very unique, and I always say this in every video, but there's some general things. So one of those things is to make sure that for you, whether that's your mortgage or whether that you're paying rent, generally your housing costs, your monthly housing costs should not make up more than 28% of your net income. All right, so think about that, 28%. So for all of you, if you have you find out your net income right after taxes, your income after taxes, and you want to do is multiply that by 0.28, and that will give you roughly an idea of how much you should be spending on rent or mortgage. Now, if you're above that, I guess that's something for you to look at and dive deeper into. But when you have a higher amount, now it's setting you up so now you have less to use for yourself, for your future, right? For your investments, for your savings, things like that. You're spending too much on the mortgage. So that means you would have to adjust your budgets in another department that you may not want to. And, so that's the general rule for housing costs, 28% of your net income. And then the next ratio is your total amount of debt should not equal more than about 36% generally of your net income. So that's your housing costs plus your car loan, plus your student loan, plus your credit card payments. All of that is all your debt. That should not make up more than 36% of your net income. All right, so that's all the debt, housing included. So, once again, multiply that your net income, multiply that by 0.36, and you'll figure out how much your debt should be around. And I think this will be, a great way to start kind of seeing where you at. Do you have too much debt? What adjustments do you need to make? Right? And it's very important to have that kind of conversation. When I was before I really got into on my own, having my own car, having my own apartment, everything like that, I always took my net income and I would multiply it by a certain amount, those kind of ratios, not those exact ones, but very similar to it, and I would make sure that I was not exceeding that amount. And I always found apartments or whatever it was that fit within that income. That way I had money to keep investing. Like I always tell you, most of my money goes to investing. I don't spend too much of my money, even on rent and other debts. I don't even have really any debt, but I always made sure that I had more money from myself, from my investments, than I did spending it and giving out, whether that be on apartments, whether that be on cars, whether that be on this, whether that be on that. So it'll be very healthy for you to kind of get an idea of where you are at. And like I said, adjustments that need to be changed moving forward. The next one is you want to at least save, and I know you guys hear this all the time, but you need to at least have at least 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. Life happens. We see that all the time. You see that with COVID. Life happens, bro. Life happens quick. And you need to have those monies for those rainy days, because you never know what you need to do. And it'll help you get out of a bind. Set you up better than if you had nothing at all. So that's something you need to factor into your money as well, is do I have an emergency fund? At least for 3 to 6 months. If something happened and I needed to survive for those 3 to 6 months, you'll be able to set up, you'll be able to get, I don't know if it's a disaster, you might be able to get some groceries. If you need to stay at a hotel for a while, you might be able to do that. If you need to, whatever it may be, to make sure you're good, that you can do that. And another general rule of thumb is that you want to at least save. I might have said this in another video, but I save more. I always encourage more saving, but at least generally you should at least be saving 10 to 13% of your net income. Once again, how we do this: net income times 0.1 or by 0.13, and that will give you the number that you should be saving monthly for saving. And now we have the emergency fund for just special occasion. For an emergency, right? My biggest thing with saving is that you can't just save, and I know I said this once before and I will always say it. You do not want to just save. Your money needs to make more money, because if not, it will get weaker due to inflation, right? And inflation is when the price of goods and services increases. So you need to make amount higher than the inflation rate, so that way your money doesn't get weaker. So you don't want to just save. This money needs to also be going to investments, right? And the more you save, the more money you're using for investments, the better. You're setting yourself up for the future, for now, whatever it may be. So general rules of thumb, right? Let's go over them again. 28%. I generally should be for housing costs, whether that's mortgage or rent. That doesn't include utilities and things like that. Total debt should be generally 36% of your net income, right? That includes student loan, all of that stuff. You want to at least save for an emergency fund between 3 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months funds of rent, whatever it may be that you need. And then you want to generally save at least 10 to 13% of your net income for investing reasons and things like that. The higher, I always say, like I said, more savings the better. The more investing the better. And yeah, just so it's important for us to make sure that in our personal financial life, whether we're doing it on our own or whether we're getting help, which I recommend most of us do, to make sure that we're in a good place, to make sure that because a lot of us have more debt than we do have assets. And now what we want to do is reverse that moving forward every day, right? Get a strong idea of where we're at and now make those changes so that we have more assets, right? We have more money for saving for us than we do to debts and our obligations to other people. And that's a step to getting towards wealth, right? That's a step to building wealth. So, and I said it before, but another one is not using more than 30% on your credit card as well. That's a quick little tip. So, yeah, just want to share those quick tips. Enjoy the holiday. Get some sun. It's about to turn into fall up here in the north. And, I'll holler at y'all later.
When it's time to ride, I never crash like Susie. Lyrics make you woozy. Inspired by Juicy. The way to branch out is to kill all of these loose